Welcome to Behind the Recipe. I'm your host, Christina Hitchcock. Join me every week as we dive into the joys of cooking, explore kitchen tips and tricks, and share delicious recipes that will inspire your next meal. So whether you're a seasoned cook or just learning your way around the stove, there's something here for everyone. Now, before we dive in, I want to share something sweet. If you love easy, creative desserts that start with a box of cake mix, because who has time to cook from scratch every time? You need to check out my brand new site, cakemixrecipes.com. It's packed with tried and true, drool-worthy recipes that are fast, fun, and totally foolproof. And it's not just sweets. I also have savory recipes made with pantry staples that your family is sure to love. So make sure you check that out as you're listening to today's episode. So let's talk about Sunday night. For me, it used to feel like a total scramble, right? You're figuring out what to make for Monday, realizing you forgot to take something out of the freezer. So guilty of that. And facing a kitchen that looks like it hosted a food tornado over the weekend because things just go to chaos sometimes over the weekend. Now, I have totally changed the way I'm handling Sundays. And Sunday night is now my reset ritual. And this has changed everything. In a previous episode, I talked a bit about some ways that you can organize your kitchen. And I touched on this topic where I want to walk you through today my Sunday kitchen reset step by step. It's really how I go from a cluttered, chaotic feeling to calm and clear and ready for the week ahead. It's part kitchen organization, part meal prep, and honestly, part self-care because when I'm happy, everybody's happy. Now, this reset doesn't take more than 30 minutes to 45 minutes, but the benefits really last all week. So the first thing I do on Sundays, as I'm getting everything prepared for the week ahead, is I start by clearing off all the surfaces, right? Dishes get washed or loaded into the dishwasher. Stray snacks get put away because there are always stray snacks laying around on my kitchen counters. Mail, homework, coffee mugs, everything gets returned to its home. And my guys tend to leave stuff laying around wherever they've dropped them. So this is usually one of the biggest parts of my my Sunday reset, because there's just something about starting with a clean slate that makes the week so much more manageable. And when my counters are clear, my mind feels clearer too, and I feel like I can actually see my kitchen and feel comfortable about working in there. Now, I do like to keep a small basket in my kitchen area for all of the non-kitchen things that tend to land there. Let's think about it. Shoelaces. I'm just thinking about what's in my kitchen right now. Shoelaces, a tape measure, some weird pair of pliers that have landed there, a tube of toothpaste, graduation cards for parties that I'm going to be going to. So you see, like, those kinds of things that always seem to land where they shouldn't have landed. Now, at the end of the day or week, it's easy to relocate everything at once if I have them in a basket and I can just run around and put all the things away. Or better yet, make somebody else put their things away. So step two, I do a fridge clean out once a week. And this one I usually do earlier in the day because Sundays are usually my grocery shopping day. So I like to clean out the fridge as I'm putting the groceries away. And this one is key because I open the fridge and I go shelf by shelf. I toss any expired leftovers. They go right out. I combine any partial containers, right? So if you have like two salad dressings, now obviously I'm not combining like an Italian and a French, but you get the gist. The two Italian dressings that I have halves of can go together. I wipe down any spills or crumbs that are on the shelves. I take note of things that need to be used soon so I can work them into upcoming meal plans. And then I just get a damp cloth and I wipe everything down really quickly. It doesn't have to be perfect, just freshened up. And there's a couple of things that I'm keeping an eye out for when I'm doing this. I'm looking for produce that needs to be chopped or frozen or used up in some way. I'm also looking for leftovers that can become lunch throughout the week, things that I can, have my husband take for lunch or that I can eat for lunch when I'm home, and anything that I forgot I bought. So in this week's case, it was a bag of cherries that have been sitting there that need to get eaten because those cherries are pretty pricey. But by the time I'm done, the fridge just feels better, right? I think every time I clean my fridge, I feel like it's brighter, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if the light is just getting through better or what, but it feels it feels good to have it ready and organized. And I've actually created more space, both physically and mentally, that I can work with throughout the week. Now, step three of my Sunday reset is I take inventory. And now that I can see what's in my fridge, I look in my pantry too, and I take a few minutes to jot down and update those lists. I told you in that previous episode that I like to keep lists on my phone of what I have in my pantry and my freezer. I keep them on an app called AnyList so that we all have access to it and and can take care or can see our shopping lists and all those things. But I take note of things that I already have, what needs to be used first, and then I add to the shopping list what I need to buy. So it's a pretty straightforward system, but it does work when you're organized like that. And it's not a full meal plan, it's more of like a roadmap. So I might write down something like use bell peppers and mushrooms, maybe make a stir fry. We need milk, eggs, bread, they get added to the list. Leftover chicken, good for wraps or a salad. So you can do this with an app. You can keep a magnetic notepad on the fridge, but just throughout the week, jot down things that you're out of. And on Sunday, you just go to it and add it to the list. Okay, so another thing I do on Sundays is my light meal prep. Not a full-scale Sunday prepper, but I do like to give myself a head start. So here's what I like to prep during my reset time. I wash and chop any produce for the first few days of my meal plan. So if I have carrots or celery or peppers, I like to get those pre-chopped and ready to go, and then I label them in the fridge and with the day of the week that they're going to be used, and we're good. I like to hard boil a couple eggs that we can have for snacks or lunches. If you're into overnight oats, you can make those or prep smoothie bags. That's another thing I do is I'll pre-package out all the fruit for smoothies so that I can just dump and go. I don't like mornings, so the less I have to think in the morning, the better. Portioning out snacks. So whether that's fruit or crackers or cheese, just anything that we can grab and go with ease. Because a lot of times I only have a few minutes between meetings. So I'll just go to the fridge, I'll grab something that's already prepackaged so that I can eat it at my desk. And if I can, I like to cook at least one protein for the week. So if I'm doing taco meat or shredded chicken or something that I can use in multiple ways, I like to get that done and out of the way. So I'm not cooking 5 dinners in advance. I'm just making maybe Monday or Tuesday a little bit easier. And that's enough for me, honestly. That gets me through. So step five, I restock all of my essentials. So I go to my essentials list on my app and I make sure that I'm not running low on anything. Olive oil, garlic, onions, coffee, eggs, cheese, bread, pasta, frozen vegetables, anything that you consider an essential in your kitchen, make sure that you have it stocked well and that you're not going to run out of it during the week, right? Because these are things I'm using all the time. A couple other things I like to keep my eye on are salt and pepper too, because we go through a lot of that and I want to make sure that I always have a good stash of that. And if anything's missing, I write it on my list or set a reminder that it needs to be restocked. And this is a good way too if you use one of those voice assistants. So I'm always telling my Alexa, can't say her name out loud or she'll start doing stuff. I always tell her to add things to my various lists so that I don't ever forget them because it's easier for me to just shout it out and have the assistant help than to do it myself. Then I wipe down and refresh everything. So once everything's prepped and put away, I finish everything with the wipe down. So I wipe down all my counters, I clean my stove, my cooktop, the fridge handles, I wash down the sink, all those high traffic areas that tend to get pretty gunky. They're obviously getting clean during the week, but they really get a more firm clean on Sunday during this refresh. And then I toss the old sponge, or I throw it in the dishwasher if it's good enough to be reused and run it through that cycle in the dishwasher so it can kill any bacteria there. I replace the dish towel. And then usually I like to just light a candle or something just to kind of make the kitchen feel clean and calm. I also try to empty the trash or run the dishwasher before bed because I like to wake up and have my sink clean and everything in its place. One of the last things I do here is I look at Monday's breakfast and dinner. This only takes a couple of minutes, and I make sure that my meal plan is set. I know what we're having for dinner on Monday. Did I forget to take anything out of the freezer? I probably did. So I'm probably pulling something out of the freezer at that moment. And I look at what we're doing for breakfast. Breakfast for us is not an event. So, I just make sure I have bread for toast or yogurts ready to go. And if I can, if we are having something bigger, like let's say my son has a big exam coming up, I'll make him something more hearty, like a breakfast burrito, and I'll try to get that ready on Sunday, just so that Monday mornings run. So this routine isn't just about food, it's really creating a rhythm that supports the rest of your life. And when my kitchen is reset like this, I don't wake up in a chaos mode on Monday. I know what I'm working with. I'm not wasting money on last minute takeout or throwing out forgotten produce. And I'm not playing fridge Tetris trying to find space for everything. It really helps me feel in control, grounded, and ready for the new week. So if you only have 10 or 15 minutes, you can do like a mini reset. And here's what you can do in those 10 or 15 minutes. And set a timer. Right? Start doing this with the timer, and I'll tell you a story in a sec. You can clear the counters. You can toss expired food. Write down 3 meals you can make. Take an item out of the freezer to defrost it and wipe down the sink. I guarantee you those will not take less than or more than 10 minutes. So fast, so quick and simple. So I used to dread certain projects, right? Around the house. I'd be like, ugh, I really have to tackle cleaning out my kitchen drawers. And I would put it off because in my mind, it was this huge project of something that was going to take so much time and really going to take so much of my personal energy that I didn't want to spend. But I did this the one time. I set a timer and I cleaned out my junk drawer, and literally it took me like 6 or 7 minutes to do it. In my mind, it was like a 6 or 7 hour project, but in reality, it was like 6 or 7 minutes. When you set the timer and you see how long it takes to actually do something, I think you'll be amazed. My other game that I play with myself is when I put something in the microwave, like say I'm putting in something for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I try to see what I can get done in that 3 minute period while the microwave is going because it's a built-in timer, right? So I try to tackle like little things like that. Like, let me see if I can clean out or just organize my pots and pans a little easier or a little neater, or maybe clean out a lazy Susan or wipe down a lazy Susan or vacuum out a drawer or just something like that, right? It's always fun to see what I can do like that. So Sunday night does not have to feel stressful. It can feel empowering. And resetting your kitchen is not about being perfect. It's really about creating peace of mind for yourself. You're setting yourself up for a better week to come and taking care of the future you. And that's why it's about self-care, right? Home cooking is all about taking care of you and your family. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Behind the Recipe. I hope you enjoyed our conversation and picked up a few tips and tricks that you can use in your kitchen. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and of course, share it with your friends. As always, I love hearing from you. So make sure you send me your questions, your feedback, and your recipe ideas. Just head over to itisakeeper.com/BTR. And don't forget to check out my new site, cakemixrecipes.com. It's full of easy, sweet, and savory recipes made with pre-packaged mixes and pantry staples. Until next time, happy cooking, and remember, everything's better when shared in the kitchen.